Hello and welcome, as they used to say in the GFW Radio podcast, to the GFW Radio podcast. Wait, that's not right. To the
Definitely not
31 streams slash days slash nights of horror. I'm Eric Allen. Joe Drilling's hanging out.
Hanging out
What's going
here
on, Joe?
for the most metal Famicom game that there is.
I guess this game, it's probably a little bit of a stretch to classify this as a horror game, even by Castlevania standards, but it's horror in the way that every fucking metal album art is a horror like themed imagery.
Yeah, I mean, so people talk about what's that game that I own and haven't played?
Eternal
They said
Darkness? No.
It's like Legend of Zelda, but it's a Manowar cover. If a Manowar cover was a Legend of Zelda game.
Oh, Legend of Zelda 2: A Link to the Past.
Yeah, no, that's Legend. First of all, that's Legend of Zelda 3. Legend of Zelda 2 is
Link's
Adventure
Awakening.
of Link. But no, I'm thinking of
You're thinking
Jesus,
of the second one.
What you play as no, it's not an actual Zelda game. It's like a Zelda game. You play as the four horsemen of the you play as the horsemen of war.
Oh, well, I thought you were talking about a Nintendo game.
No, I'm saying this is the Nintendo equivalent of that game that I can't remember the title of that you're supposed
I
to
played
help
to
me out with, 'cause
completion
know
and I
you
really
played
liked it, and I'm trying to think of what the title is. Fuck, man. I don't know. I can't remember right now. They're making
people
another one.
screaming at their computers right
I
now.
know, nobody's
I'm
watching
sure.
this, so it's not an issue.
Well, when they're watching the recording tomorrow, they're screaming.
Nobody's watching that either. What the hell is that called? I could go look at my Xbox 360 games right now, or I could look at my Steam thing, because I own both of them.
Darksiders.
Darksiders, there you go.
Darksiders. So if there was an NES version of Darksiders, this is that.
Okay.
Right? It's a Nintendo game that is a Manowar album cover. So this game,
I know this guy is wearing a shirt, so
that is true. Well, it's like a breastplate really more
I
than
have the
a
music
shirt.
turned off. What's wrong with me?
The music is actually pretty good in this game too, so you should have that turned on.
You remember
So-
how do I cast magic? There it goes. Okay.
you
push select.
Select. Yeah, you choose which magic you want to use and press the select button. So this game has actually now gotten a US release. It was put out on like one of those plug and play systems that Retrobit did last year. I think it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
So this game actually has now gotten an official US release, but it was allegedly slated for a US release in the time, when it originally came out, and then it was canceled for reasons that we're not entirely certain of. I suspect it is a combination of
I mean, I'm sure that there was at least some thought given to like this dude is obviously Ronnie James Dio, and the game is named after one of his most famous songs and albums. So I guess they would have just changed some of that, I would assume.
I think Ronnie's the king in this game, actually. I don't think he's Ron. I think he's Randy. Let me double check, because this game has a totally bonkers story, and I must share it.
Okay.
Stream. Let's see.
I mean, it's a real shame that this game is not licensed, and doesn't feature like riffs from Dio songs and how great would you could definitely recreate the synth intro to like Rainbow in the Dark in the NES.
Right.
I'm sure somebody's done that actually, but.
So this is the story. This is a translation of the story that someone posted on the Hardcore Gaming 101 forums. So allegedly, this is the translation of what's in the manual of the Japanese game. Resurrected, the legend of the holy magic king's justice.
Mm-hmm.
It is the 666th year of the world of magic. The Black Slayer, demon king of the underground Dark Empire, has extended the world of darkness and weakened the power of King Crimson, whose wisdom has guided the world of magic for generations. The 16th Crimson Emperor, Ronnie IV, entrusted his two infant sons, Randy and Zack, to his faithful servant Ozzy. The three escaped the forces from another dimension in the hope to bring back light into the world. The next 17 years were difficult, but Randy, Zack, and Ozzy devoted themselves to the cause of holy magic justice. The Black Slayer had further extended his empire over the countryside, and the interdimensional forces were even more powerful. Randy needed to find the royal coat of arms of the Crimson to battle the demons. He set out alone to carry out the will of his surrogate father Ozzy, who had passed away. Thus begins the legend of the Holy Magic King's justice.
I mean, if there was some talk about rainbows and some kind of great wheel, that could be the lyrics to a Ronnie James Dio song.
Right.
I mean, there's actually the last two songs on Rainbow's Rising is kind of that, about it like a wizard that's trying to build a tower and has a bunch of slaves. It's a great song.
Sounds about right. So
it's a song from the perspective of one of the slaves.
No.
And it's I have to start over. I lost all my lives.
Yeah. Very, very nice lightning effects in this game. So yeah, this game is noteworthy for almost coming out at the time, but also like there's a lot of crosses. Like you have the crosses with the snakes and the skulls in the background and stuff, and that would have been, they would have had to change some of that stuff. But I don't know that would have been too much of a lift.
Yeah, I mean, there's some crosses in Castlevania. They just like remove some of the ornamentation.
3, they actually just left. Yeah.
Well, so there's it's a little there's that one at the very beginning, but they changed it. It's like it looks different. They like
it looks slightly different.
I forget what it is exactly. They like I think the one in the Japanese version has like a sunburst on or something.
Yeah. But then there's crosses in the stained glass when you climb that tower at the beginning of level 1 too.
There's no boobs in that version either.
So right, they covered the statues. Yeah. But this game, the other thing it's infamous for is being just ridiculously difficult.
Okay, well, I don't. This hallway is a fucking nightmare because there's just 1,000 of these little guys, and it's really difficult to make any progress.
Yeah, it gets way worse. I've never made it past the 4th or 5th stage in this game. Because I like this game quite a bit, but eventually, like, it just becomes kind of overwhelming, and you just kind of go, okay, fuck it.
Right. I mean, even like, this isn't that much fun because you're not making any progress. You just have to kill those dudes all the time.
Right. But look how appropriately Halloween it is. There's purple jack-o'-lanterns with feet trying to kill you.
I think those are armadillos, Joe.
Those are definitely jack-o'-lanterns. Also, armadillos' feet don't look like that.
These purple things, these are armadillos all the way.
There's definitely a jack-o'-lantern. With like baby legs, which is just weird. But yeah, this game is it.
I think the thing I think is an armadillo arm, you think is his mouth.
Maybe.
Look, man, and Ryu Hayabusa has a giant fucking nose sometimes, so.
Are we going to talk about those things in Airman stage and Mega Man? Because, I mean, is it a nose or a mouth? Or anyways, so yeah, this game is pretty tough. It's got a lot of cool, different sprites and stuff, and but it's really, you're not super mobile. You're like more mobile than Simon Belmont, but you're still not.
You can move. You can move after you jump. But
yeah, but you're still not.
You're not. Yeah. Also, this dude kills you in 3 hits, so. And he's the first boss.
Yep.
The first few bosses, even in Castlevania 3, are chumps.
Yeah. Well, the first boss in Castlevania 3 is a total pushover. And then if you climb the clock tower, you fight Monster Grant, and if you have the holy water, like, he goes down like a chump. Super fast too. But yeah, this game does not mess around. And some of the bosses actually are chumps. This one isn't one of them, but like I think it's the second boss is this weird tree monster. Mm-hmm. And that one is like you stand on the other side of the room. There's a safe spot that's like pretty obvious, and you just stand over there and shoot the twin shot at it. until it's dead, or until it's almost dead if you run out, and then you just run up to it and like spam your normal attack like in its face, and it goes down pretty easily. You can extend your life bar. There are pickups that you'll find later in the game that will bump up your life meter. There's a power-up you find in Stage 4 that will make your magic all cost half as much. And you can also get things that will extend your magic meter, and of course you get more spells every time you... I think every time you finish a level, or almost every time you finish a level.
Yeah.
You get a new spell, so that helps.
Oh, suck it.
But yeah, once you get to about the halfway mark, this game gets really hard. The enemy placement gets unfair. Basically, they just start putting enemies in places where it's like you have to kind of start to memorize the stages.
Yeah. I mean, even that first hallway is just kind of a, like I said, just the sheer volume of enemies impedes your progress. It's not like difficult, it's just tedious, which is usually, that is sometimes the most difficult thing for me to deal with in a video game, is I just get fucking bored, and then I play like crap, basically.
Well, that's why I don't like a lot of older like JRPGs, is like I just don't really have the patience for grinding, so I find it tedious.
What does that Blizzard do?
It freezes. It freezes enemies in place, but also you're gonna come across some lava, and it freezes the lava so you can walk on it. Also, I really like the background in this stage. I think it's really good. The sunset and everything.
Purple and orange.
Cool.
Somebody was a big Phoenix Suns fan.
yeah.
The old Charles Barkley. Oh, that's the wrong magic. Ugh. Whoops. There we go. They do make you use that right off the bat, huh?
Yeah, the magic's. That's another thing that I like about this game, is that sort of like a really well designed Mega Man game. Like, this game makes you use all the
these
all the
items
new powers
are actually
you get.
useful. Yeah.
Right? Because like in bad Mega Man games, like you just use the weapons to kill the bosses, right? Like that's all they're good for. And in good Mega Man games,
use Metal Man all the time. Because it's broken.
Kinda, but there's uses for the weapons outside of just like take this and kill the guy whose weakness it is. Like I feel like even like Mega Man 9, that was the thing I really liked about Mega Man 9, which is why I put it towards like the top of my Mega Man games list, is that like the weapons all have uses outside of just walking to the next thing and killing the next thing. In fact, in that game, the Hornet thing is borderline broken. Because like it can pick up weapons for you or items for you, and like it homes in on.
Oh come on! I landed on that thing. That's some bullshit. That's bullshit.
You totally did land.
I landed on it and then slid off.
Yeah, that was some nonsense.
I'm very disappointed. Alright, well, there, I changed the album art to the first. That's Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, which was...
Shouldn't you have changed to the album art for Holy Diver?
It might come up in a minute here, you don't know. But, so that's like the first, like, instance of Dio doing a real sort of metal album.
The Rainbow album?
Yeah, and it's pretty good.
Because that was pre-Sabbath?
Yeah, this is like 75 and 76, I think, or 74, 75. It was right after Richie Blackmore left Deep Purple. I really love, I was singing it earlier actually, The Man in the Silver Mountain, which is from that album. It's one of the best like Dio-related songs, but the rest of that album is so-so. On the other hand, Rainbow Rising, which I referenced earlier, that album is great, top to bottom. I really like the last two songs are really dramatic and silly. I mean, it's like I said, it's like Dio is taking on the persona of a slave that's building this giant tower for this wizard who wants to learn how to fly. And then at the end of the song, the wizard tries to jump off the tower and falls to his death. And then the slaves escape, and then like the last song on the album is like them trying to get away and figure out how to get back to their homes or whatever. But there's also a song about oh god. There's also a song called, like, there's a song about a werewolf, and there's a song about a rainbow, and there's a song about a tarot woman, like falling in love with a gypsy lady or whatever, which is also a title of one of his fucking. That's the title of another one of his songs.
So have you ever heard the Henry Rollins bit about Ronnie James Dio?
No.
It's fantastic. It's really about breaking up with someone. And he's like, I bet none of you people in this audience tonight have any albums by the artist Ronnie James Dio. But I do. I have them all. Because every Ronnie James Dio album has 1 to 3 Evil Woman Look Out Tonight songs.
Oh, yeah. He didn't...
And when you
Ronnie James Dio is in this... Good God, man. Just the enemy swarms in this game is ridiculous. But yeah, he was like, his lyrics are all really fun, but he is definitely a better vocalist than he is a lyricist.
Yeah, but he talks about, like, you know, you get you get a towel and wrap it around your neck like a cape, and you will sing along with Ron right after you get broken up with.
Right, because if you're gonna sing Dio songs, you need to have a cape.
Right.
Really, you need the gauntlets and, I mean, he's also the one that is credited with, like, he's the first one to throw up the metal horns.
Right.
Because he's from an old, like, his grandmother was an old Italian woman, and he thought it looked cool. I forget, like, it's different depending on which way you do it.
Ward against evil.
Yeah, depending on which way you do it, changes the symbology of it, I think, but, it doesn't really have that same meaning anymore.
No, I would say not.
What else have I got here? Oh yeah, I got a little Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, which he joined Sabbath after the two terrible final Ozzy Osbourne albums.
What's the second? The last one is Never Say Die. What's the one before that?
Technical Ecstasy, which is also really bad.
I don't think I know any songs off that album. I don't think I could name a song.
You know why you don't know any songs from that record? Because
they're bad.
It's a terrible... I mean, compared to a lot of the other absolute shit that was coming out at the time, or any time, I suppose, it's not... Like, you could listen to it, and it probably wouldn't hurt you, but it's not...
Well, that's a relief.
It is not up to the standard of Black Sabbath albums.
Right.
Like, everything up through Sabotage is classic, basically. And then the two albums, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, that they did with Dio are also really, really excellent. And then all the Tony Martin stuff is not good, in my opinion. Some people like the Tony Martin stuff. I don't really care for it.
They're just saying that to be contrarian.
Maybe.
Nobody likes that stuff. So that is clearly a jack-o'-lantern. Like, now that it's frozen.
No, look, it's got ears. There's the ears and the little face and the second armadillo leg and the bottom armadillo leg.
Uh-huh.
It can be either one of those. Oh. The only way to get through this level is just to freeze everything.
Pretty much.
Is that pretty much what you do the rest of the game?
No, there are definitely some spots though where that magic is sort of like what helps you in a pinch in a lot of ways. The problem is that you can drain all your magic by doing
it costs 10 per.
So, hot tip: in this part, you want to kill those eyeballs because the tears will hurt you, and they sort of, as you can see, they like trace down the thing. So killing the eyes to avoid that can help. But also the things that are very clearly purple jack-o'-lanterns with feet will drop down the hole by themselves if you let them.
Just avoid the armadillos is what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you. Just let them be.
Let's fuck this. Fortunately, you get all your magic back when you die.
Yeah, that really is the saving grace. If this was like Ninja Gaiden, where you started with like 5 magic points when you died, that would be some bullshit.
Well, now I literally am stuck. I guess I can farm these blocks for these. Oh, there we go.
You can farm enemies will keep coming back, so you can farm them for magic points too. Oh yeah, that one. There you go. The game knows that you needed it, so it dropped to 50.
But yeah, Neon Knights and Heaven and Hell are two of the best Black Sabbath songs. I think I honestly, like, as far as just pure vocal talent, like, Dio is so much better than Ozzy.
That's true, but Ozzy is, sort of as you implied, Ozzy is a better lyricist, I think. And
well, I mean, that's because he didn't write most of those lyrics. That was Geezer Butler wrote most of those songs.
Yeah, but even Ozzy's solo stuff, I think, is lyrically better. I don't know.
I mean he wrote a song about a train. What's better, rainbows or trains?
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Oh.
You might want to just use your twin shot or you can freeze. You can freeze them. But the twin shot will, like, because it goes in that sort of sine wave, you can kill the eyeballs by doing that. There we go. There's
the iconic Holy Diver cover. Holy Diver is a great album from top to bottom. It's also the best Dio album by quite a long shot. Oh shit! Did I not continue? No, this is the second level.
This is the beginning of the second stage.
Yeah, the other one you start on the tower.
That's the thing that wears you down.
What's that?
Game. When you get like to a boss.
Oh, and then you have to start.
You like almost kill it, and then you lose your last life, and you have to go all the way back to being the stage. You're just kind of like, you know what? Fuck this game. But there's a part later where you turn into a dragon.
But you don't turn into a tiger.
You do not turn into a tiger, which is really, I mean, it's a wasted.
Yeah.
It's a waste. You don't get to turn into a tiger.
Especially a nice clean tiger.
A clean one, yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
But this game definitely sticks with the theme of you gotta get away.
I don't know what else I got here. I had a whole folder full. Oh, there's Lock Up the Wolves. Lock Up the Wolves is okay. I really like that album art is really good though.
That album art is pretty good, yeah.
Really the only two Dio albums you really need to own, like you need Dio and you should probably own a copy of Dream Evil, and then the rest of the discography is just like, you can buy it if you want. If you're way into Dio, the later they get, the less interesting they are to me. What else have I got on here? Oh,
Jack Red says hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jack.
There's the man himself.
And he toured right up until he died, right?
Mm-hmm. I wish I had gone and seen that last. I mean, I guess it was technically Heaven and Hell by that point, because
it was him with all the remaining members.
Right, even though he was like the first, like back when Black Sabbath was a going concern in the 80s, like he did 3 albums with them too, so it always seemed weird that, like, after the fact, Ozzy decided to.
Well, I think when you're talking about like longevity, I think people associate the Ozzy.
No. I'm saying that the reason that they released that last album, or the last 2 albums, I think they did 2 albums, as Heaven and Hell, is because Ozzy like threatened to sue them basically for use of for using the Black Sabbath name without him being involved in the project, which I said is weird because there's technically more
albums.
Black Sabbath stuff without Ozzy than there is, I think.
Him.
And 3 of those albums are fronted by Ronnie James Dio, and then there's like 4 or 5 Tony Martin albums, I think.
There are 5 Tony Martin Black Sabbath albums?
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 albums with him.
God, that's the most inessential run of albums by a once great band.
Yeah, there's
ever.
Tear, there's maybe it's 3 or 4. I know there's Tear and Headless Cross are 2 of them.
What the hell ever happened to him, by the way?
Tony Martin? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's probably not singing any metal bands.
I mean, one hopes not.
Shit. All right. Well,
Didn't they all go on tour together at one point? Like, didn't
I don't
like
know, maybe.
Sabbath do like a thing where they did songs with Ozzy and songs with Dio and like on the same tour,
They may have at the end.
like an Ozfest?
I know
or
that they
something?
did. There was one last like Heaven and Hell tour before before Dio died, which I wish I had. Hindsight being 2020, I wish I had gone and seen that.
Knowing what you know, that's actually weird because I went to see Typo Negative in what turned out to be like their third or fourth to last show ever, and I ended up going by myself because everybody was like, I've seen him before, like they tour all the time, like I'm just not feeling it. And then it was like, oh, like he's fucking dead, so like
Man,
that was it. And like everybody's like, man, I really wish I'd gone to that show with you. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
anyway, that's a little. There's no codes for this or anything, is there? There's no like level select.
I do not believe there are any cheats or anything for this game because I only was able to, when I made a video about this game, I was only able to show the first 4 stages because I don't think there is any way to advance in the game.
I keep missing that jump, and I don't know why. I just keep walking into that hole. I'm too busy talking about Dio.
Start a new game. In the beginning, jump right to the top of the tree, press start on the first controller, hold A and B on the second controller, then press start again, and the lives counter will be increased.
You can get some extra lives.
It only works on the specified height coordinates. So apparently there are certain areas where you can go and just like load yourself up with extra lives. I kind of wish I'd known that before. But no, there is not any sort of stage selection.
I'll learn how to use Cheat Engine for this.
Yeah, the problem is, was Game Genie ever released in Japan? Like, I don't think, I feel like anytime I look for Game Genie codes for, like, Japan-only games, I come up with basically nothing.
You can use Cheat Engine with any emulated stuff.
But isn't it, I thought that was also just running game, like, the Game Genie thing.
No, Cheat Engine actually, like, monitors, like, the stuff that's being written to your memory. And then, like, you can modify that. You can lock certain values. Like in games like... So, like, in this game, you would try to figure out, like, which bit of memory, it, like, controls your life. And then you would figure that out, and then you would lock it at a point, and then you would become invincible.
That wouldn't stop you from falling down pits.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't stop you from falling down pits. But it would make, like, these enemy swarms quite a bit easier to deal with.
Honestly,
I've never really. I messed around with the Cheat Engine a little bit, but like Cheat Engine is like, I mean, it's kind of like Game Genie, but it would be like it lets you actually access what's happening and what's actually being written to the memory and then change it.
You could make it just so that,
which is why you can use it on anything.
Yeah,
basically.
If you could make it just so that you didn't have to continue at the start of like if you could lock the number of lives, even if you still took damage, I think it would be a lot easier to play this game. Right. And this is the thing.
Do most of the bosses, like that first one, like give you a continue point pretty nearby?
Yeah, I think you continue at the boss in every stage once you make it to
then
the boss.
It would definitely be doable. I'm playing like crap because I'm too busy talking. This game is like there's like a certain threshold of difficulty where I can talk and play effectively, and this game is just like just a little bit outside of that, I think.
Yeah, and this, I mean, I understand people who don't like this game because it's too hard, and I find it interesting lately that there's been this Cuphead sort of renewed this conversation about difficulty, and, you know, should there be easy modes, should games be accessible?
Yes.
And I've really gotten to the point where I just don't understand I do not understand the argument of no, they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like, you can, like, and like people are always like, oh, these old games, and I'm like, look, man, I spend a lot of fucking time with old games, and a lot of old games have shit like stage select codes and
most
life cheats.
Right, like one of the reasons that Contra is manageable for most people is because you can use the 30 lives code to get through the game and learn the stages, and then go back and do it again without the code.
Right.
You know, like that's how I learned how to beat Contra.
That's how everybody learned how to beat Contra.
Right. And there's no reason why a game like Cuphead or Dark Souls couldn't do that, as far as I'm concerned. Like, there's no reason why you couldn't. I mean, honest to God, you could just do a code in Cuphead where you just hit up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, and get like 10 extra hit points or whatever for your dude, and then people could learn how to beat the bosses, and then if they wanted to take on the challenge, they could go back and do it again. I'm the same. I agree with that. Like, even if you don't want to make it a menu option, or you don't want to like rebalance the game, it's not hard to just like take hit points away from the bosses or give the player characters extra hit points and just make it manageable. The same thing applies to Dark Souls. Like, you wouldn't have to do anything. Like, there's a lot of people that talk about like how great the AI is in Halo and how like how much better it is on the harder difficulties, and like when people went back and looked at those old Halo games, like there's no difference in the AI routines between the different difficulties. The biggest difference is that the enemies just live longer, so they actually have time to go through all those routines.
Right.
Like there is some difference, like but it's mostly just that you give them extra life and then they can do more, and so there's no reason that like most modern games can't do that. I don't know. I just don't.
I mean, the thing is, if you want to play it the hard way, then just play it the hard way. And if you don't want,
or if it's important to you as a developer that the game be difficult and that it presents itself that way, then like I said, like, or just like any old NES or Super Nintendo game or whatever, you just hide it behind a code.
I mean, I think developers should make the games they want to make, right? Like,
yeah,
if you want to make a game that's super fucking hard, then like go nuts. But I also think they're cutting off a part of your audience and not necessarily. I mean, like, I'm the guy who, like, most like AAA like action games that I play, like the Uncharteds, the Resident Evils, big budget stuff, like I usually kick the difficulty up to the hardest difficulty because usually
it's too easy.
You never die.
Yeah. They also have there's a lot of numbers in modern Jesus Christ. There's a lot of numbers that say people just don't finish a lot of those games, which is why they are continually getting easier.
Right. Well, and the thing about like Resident Evil 7 did it really well and actually changed a whole bunch of stuff for the hard mode, which I really appreciated, but I also appreciated the fact that
you can just play it if
people
you just
who don't want to deal with like a commodified save system in 2017 don't have to deal with that bullshit if you don't want to deal with that. So I don't know. It's a weird conversation to be having. Like, there are people who just like, it's like I don't know. I guess it's just, for me, I think it's that there's a certain segment of the population who takes video games way too fucking serious.
Right. Well, they're too much of their identity is tied up in them playing video games, basically.
Right. And it's like, if I can accomplish this thing,
that's what leads to that conversation. It's also what leads to shit like Gamergate and it's what leads to, I mean, just people constantly sending shit towards people that write about games or make games too.
Right, I mean, that's kind of how the Cuphead thing like came up initially, right? Because Dean Takahashi, who's been writing about video games for a fucking like quarter of a century now.
Also, I think that the people that take time out of their day to talk about video games on the internet are extreme outliers, both in the amount of time that they spend playing video games and how good they are at video games.
Right. But everyone should get good.
I guess.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I think it's weird to want a game to not respect someone's time in that way. And I think that, like, this game does not have any fucking respect for your time at all. Or even like D, which isn't a hard game, but that game doesn't have any fucking respect for your time either.
Old adventure games.
But that one is like all the, like, Full Throttle you can save. Fucking King's Quest you can save. D does not give a fuck if you have shit to do.
Out of here.
And it's just when the demographic for games went from kids to not kids, basically,
to the kids that used to play the games.
Right. And it's like, now, I have a job that I work 40 hours a week, and I have a wife, and I have a social life, and I have Now, granted, at this point in my life, a lot of my social life revolves around video games because it's doing shit like this. You know, but you know, sometimes.
I think more options are better, just across the board. I mean, there's also like the idea that like not everybody can beat a hard game. Like some people just don't have the Twitch.
Right. I mean, some people
motor
are like,
skills,
legitimately like physically disabled.
Right. That's an edge case, obviously, that people should plan for. But there's also just like some people just can't do it. Like it's entirely possible that some people just can't beat some of those games, and I guess that's okay. But I don't see it. I just don't. The argument that there's something inherently good about making a game that is difficult. Man, that one jump is a real bitch. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Holy Diver.
Yeah. And some talk about difficult games.
Give people options for difficulty. It's good. More options are better. Also, colorblind options, because apparently Cuphead, to build your super meter, you have to do like a timed button press on pink things. And some of the pink things, if you have red-green colorblind, it's just you can't see them.
That's
right. So, like, that's a thing that should be fixed. Anyway, I'm gonna go play some Destiny.
All right, man. We'll enjoy that, and we'll talk to all of you fine people tomorrow. I guess probably. Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so we'll definitely talk to you tomorrow.
Or we will anyway.